Okay, so here's a good one to start off with because you're just looking straight at us, nothing too complex. So everything is based off of the first head that you draw, right? So you're gonna just draw an oval. Don't draw it too close to the edge of the paper. Draw it a little further away. An oval about this size, okay? And you're gonna measure 8 of these heads. So remember how I showed you with the pencil? Take the pencil like this, put the top of the eraser to the top of the head, and then pinch where the bottom of the head is, and then count 7 of those. So 1, 2, 3, 8, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And at the bottom of the 8th, you're gonna put a line. That's how tall she's going to be on our piece of paper, okay? So she's gonna be 8 heads tall, right? She's standing pretty straight, pretty relaxed. And if you notice, the spine, if she's looking, oh, sorry. So here, I'll stop this one and we'll generate another one. Here, there we go. And so, looking straight at us, right? Which means her spine is pretty straight, maybe with a little bit of a slight curve to the left, just because I think, what leg do you guys think she's bearing all her weight? Or is it on both? What leg do you guys think? You think it's her right? So her right being this one. Yeah, it kind of looks like it a little bit, but not a lot, right? Maybe it's kind of even on it, right? So we're just gonna maybe make her, this hip over here, just maybe a little higher, okay? So halfway down is where her hips should be, right? Just like with this guy, right? The hips were at the bottom of the 4th head. So you can measure 1, 2, 3, 4 heads, or just kind of look at it and see where the halfway mark would be, which would be here, roughly, for me. And then just draw the hips, right? A little bit slanted. Remember we said the left side over here will be a little higher. And then we can go on and do her shoulders. Now, this shoulder over here looks a little higher, but I think it's only because she has that handbag, that big bag there, and it's probably dropping her shoulder a little bit. So I'm going to draw that tilted just a little bit to show that this is higher. Okay? Remember, the shoulder should be a little wider than the hips, right? Matthew, you good? And now let's go ahead and draw the legs. So we're only doing the stick figure for this, right? So I'm going to do circle, circle, circle for the joints, for the hips, and for the shoulders. And then if you look at her arms, her elbow on the right side over here is right there, right? And her hand is at her waist, or below her waist, at her thigh. So her hand again is going to come down here. So this arm is going to bend just a little bit out. Elbow again right above her waist. And then her forearm comes here. And that's where it is in her pocket, in that jacket. Right? And then the other one, notice the elbow on the left side over here. All right, so it comes down out to the left. And this is where it gets tricky with this arm, because it looks shorter than it actually is because it's pointed at us. So all we do is make that forearm look kind of small, but it's really not that small. It just looks that way because it's pointed toward us. All right? And now her legs, the leg here looks a little more straight than the one on the right, meaning this one's holding most of the weight. So it goes in a little bit and then down. I'm just going to put a circle for the knee. Both her feet are kind of pointed towards us, right? the one on the left is pointed almost straight to us, and the one on the right goes in a little bit, right? So remember how I showed you guys how to draw if a foot is pointed towards us? Is little circle for the ankle, and then a wider oval for the pointed feet. Okay? And then now let's go over to the other leg. The other leg goes in as well. And the knees are almost in the same spot. Maybe this one's a little lower than the other one, just a little bit. Circle. And now this foot is pointed to the left a little bit. Okay? So same thing, draw a little circle for the ankle. And then this foot isn't pointed at us, it's pointed to the left a little bit. So I'm going to draw that oval pointing to the left a little bit. All right? And then I'm just going to add the upper and lower cavity. So remember, you can choose whether you want a boxy pelvic cavity or if you want it more rounded like the football that I showed you guys. And then the upper cavity, the one on the right side should be slightly, I'm trying to see, we look at her, maybe her upper cavity is just level. She kind of looks like she's balanced on both legs, but it's not super obvious, right? So I'm going to make her upper cavity kind of be balanced like that, right? So there's the stick figure of her, right? So the next few models, we're going to be doing stick figures like this, right? Again, you start with the first head, right? And then you count. You measure it, and you count 8 of them, right? Going down. All right, you guys ready for the next one? You sure, Matthew? Okay. All right. So let's go. So that's how we're going to be doing it, okay? And I'll show you with mine the first 3. And after the third one, I'm going to cover up my drawing and have you guys do it on your own while I do it, but you won't be able to see mine until after about a few minutes. Okay? Part of the reason why I do that, we can't see his other arm on this one, so let's skip that one. Not full body. We want a full body one. Let's do this one. This is a good one. Okay, so start with the head. All right, and here's more of a side view. If you notice his head, it's not looking, or it's not perfectly straight. It's tilted a little bit to the left. So measure that size head that you draw. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you make the same size head that you did for the first one, then it should roughly be the same height. Okay. So his spine is going this way, right? So it's curving this way. So it curves like this. Remember, the spine stops at like the 4th head, so it's going to be roughly the same as my first one. His hips, we have a side view of his hips, and they're tilted forward a little, like this. So if you look at his hips, yeah, it's covered by his clothing, and I don't think that's where his hips are, his actual hips, because I think his pants are sagging a little bit. So his hips are probably a little higher up here, and they tilt this way, okay? So it's a side view, so we're tilting it forward like that, right? Which leg do you guys think he has all of his weight? On his left or his right? What do you guys think? So Isaac says left, Melanie says right. Isaac, I think you're more accurate, because keep in mind this one's straight. But in reality too, he's probably having a lot of his weight on the snowboard. because he's leaning on it, right? But this leg is more straight, so he probably has more weight on it. And the one on the right over here behind him is more relaxed because it's bent, okay? All right, so this one, the legs are actually gonna come out of the center because it's a side view. Or actually, no. We're gonna have, because he's not really a side view, he's kind of rotated to us. So this back leg, this one right here, is gonna go right here on the right side of my hip. And it's gonna come out just towards a little bit forward, so it's not perfectly straight, okay? A little forward, and then coming straight down, okay? So let me draw a circle for the hip and for the knee. And then I'll do the foot, right ankle, and it's pointed to the left. So like a spoon foot, right? And then the other leg bends even more, starting from this point here, comes out, and then goes down to the bottom, right? And same thing, circle for the ankle, and then oval for the foot, right? Okay, shoulders. Oh, we skipped, sorry. I was so focused on the hips and the legs that I forgot to do the shoulder angle. So the shoulders in this case, guys, it's going to be the same width as the hips because of the angle at which we're looking at it. So if you look, this width of his shoulders is practically the same as his hips. So when we draw his shoulders, they're also going to be tilted forward like this, just like the hips, and they're basically going to be the same width of the hips because of the angle at which we're looking at it, right? And then this arm here is the one closest to us, comes out of this side of his shoulder, the right side, right? And it's going to go forward, and it's going to block the other arm because it's behind it and behind the board. And if you notice, his elbow goes past his face, right? So you make sure you make his elbow go past his face, and then it goes up to his face, his hand. If you notice, his hand is connected or touching his face right there. Okay? The other arm we don't necessarily see because of the board and because it's kind of behind him. But if we wanted to kind of just make it show up a little bit, I'm going to draw a little, we're going to act like the snowboard isn't there, and it's almost like he's just putting his arms together. Okay, so it comes down, and you won't be able to see the back elbow because it's right behind the first arm, and then it goes up and connects with the other arm or hand. Okay, so it's like this. So that's the pose, right? So I'm gonna just write snowboarder, and then this is just lady, right? Before we do the next pose, I did want to show you in the terms of the position of the head. So the first lady was looking straight at us, right? He's not looking at us, he's looking to the left and away. So how do you do that? How do you make that happen when you're drawing someone or a figure, right? So if you draw, I'm going to show you right here. I'm going to put 2 circles, actually no, 3. Draw three heads spread out like this, and try and draw them the same size. So draw 3 heads of the same size or typical. My first one's a little smaller, right? So you have those 3 heads. We're going to make each one of those look in a different direction, right? So this is straight on. Straight on, you draw a line going through the center vertically, and a line that has a little bit of a curve, just a little bit, going through the center like that. Okay? This shows you that the middle of the face is right here, okay, where these lines cross. So that tells you, oh, this person's looking straight ahead at us, right? A person that's looking to the side, like the snowboarder that we just drew, that vertical line here is now this part of the face or the head, right? And his eyes, these here, notice how they're up higher and they're curved going this way. So then you would just curve this up here. And so this shows that this person's looking to the left, and even to push it even more, we would just draw a little profile of his nose, right? So those two simple things make it look like the person's looking to the left, right? Now, what if I want a person looking up and down, right? So same thing, you draw a vertical line because they're looking straight, they're facing us, but you want them to be looking up. So this curved line here, you curve it up higher, like that. And so now that center part of their face is up higher, right? Because they're looking up. So this is how you would draw someone with the head looking up, right? And all you're really considering is where these two lines cross to give you that idea of where that person is looking at. And for a person looking down, it's the opposite. Let me show you that. So still vertical line. Okay. And instead of curving it up like this, you curve it down. Like that. Okay. And so that's how you show the different variations of how someone's head is positioned in a drawing. Okay? So straight ahead, looking left, looking up, and then looking down. Sorry, my left hand blocks it. Okay. So that's how. So the next poses that we do, if any of the people are looking in any of those directions, you know how to do it now. Okay. All right. So let's go to a new one. All right. So this should be an easy one. He's looking straight at us, right? So notice how his shoulders are slanted. Right? This one's higher up. Which hip is higher? His left, or the left one, or the right one? Which hip? Do you guys think? The left one or the right one? It looks like it is higher because of the sash or whatever it is that he's wearing, right? But if you look at his legs, this one is out and kind of bent a little bit, and this one's further back, which means he has his weight on this one, but the sash is deceiving. So this hip is actually higher, the one on the right. Okay, so this one's higher, this one's lower, right, the shoulder, and his head is slightly tilted to the right. Okay, let me stop it so that we can see it for a longer time. Okay, so draw the first head, slightly slanted. Just a little bit, not a lot. Okay. Measure that head and then measure out 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one's going to be bigger for me because the head I drew is much bigger than the first two. Okay. All right, so the head slightly slanted to the right. The spine. Which way do you guys think the spine curves? Is it curving to the left or is it curving to the right? So is it curving this way to the left or is it curving to the opposite side to the right. What do you guys think? Devin, what do you think? To the left or to the right? Left? I think you're right. Or correct, I should say. It does curve to the left. Just a little bit, right? So it goes this way. To the left. So go halfway down for the spine, right? And the hips tilted up just a little bit to the right. And again, it's deceiving because of the sash that he's wearing. And now the shoulders. The right side is tilted down a little bit more. And the left side is higher. So it's the opposite, right? This hip is higher and this shoulder is lower. Huh? So we have the head, the spine, the hips, and the shoulders. And now we're ready for the arms and the legs. I'm going to start with the legs, just because of preference. No particular reason. Okay, so this leg, the one on the right over here, doesn't go straight down, it goes in a little bit. Okay, so you're going to tilt it a little bit in. The knee right there. And then this foot is pointed to the right. So draw the ankle circle and then draw the foot going a little to the right, like that. Okay. And now the other leg goes out a little bit, just a little bit, not a lot, and then bends down just a little bit to the inside, just to show that it's relaxed. Okay. And I can't even, might be that the back heel on this foot is slightly up, but it's hard to tell. Okay, so ankle, the ankle circle for this foot on the left is a little lower than the other one because it's pointed towards us a little bit more. Okay? And then we draw the foot that's pointed towards the left a little bit. Okay? And now his arms. His arms, if you notice, they're kind of the same. This one comes out to the left and then goes in. This one comes out to the right and then goes in. The elbow on the left is a little higher than the one on the right because he's slanted, right? So out, elbow, forearm. If you notice, his hand is almost halfway down to his knee. So to give it that fist look, instead of drawing an oval, I'm going to draw kind of like a triangle, just to kind of emulate that his hand is actually closed like a fist. Okay? And then we're going to do the same thing for the other arm. Coming out. Remember, this elbow will be a little lower, just a little bit. Okay? And the same thing. Bring it in. And this fist is slightly lower than the left one. And same thing, draw kind of like a triangle to emulate the fist. Right? And this is Viking guy. Right? Okay, so we've done 3 together, right? The same way with, let's draw, he's looking at us, right? So vertical line going through, and his eyes are just like this, right? So he's looking straight at, or not straight at us, but his head's tilted, and he's looking at the camera, right? Oh, you know what we haven't done for either one of these? We didn't add the pelvic or upper cavity. So the pelvic cavity for this one is just pretty simple. All right. I haven't shown you guys how to draw the upper cavity for a side view on a person like this one. So side view just comes up, and then it just curves like that. So that would be a side view. And now the upper cavity for the Viking guy, right? The left side will be a little higher than the right side, like this. Because again, he's tilted to the right. Okay? Just look. I may have made that curve a little too much, because he looks like he's more bent in my drawing than he is in the image. Okay, for the next one, you're going to start it on your own. I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to show you what it's going to look like until the time is up. The reason why I do that is because I guarantee that you guys are just looking at my drawing the whole time and how I'm doing it, and not really paying attention to what we're actually drawing, which is the model, right? So this happens even if we were all in class physically. Everyone always would look at my drawing instead of looking at the person that we're actually drawing, right? If you guys are looking at my drawing, whose drawing am I looking at? No one's, right? I'm looking at the actual person that we're drawing. All right, here we go. So let's do a new one. That one's kind of weird and not his whole body. That we don't see a lot of, and he's sitting down, or it sitting down. Well, this one's a good one. Let's do this one. It's kind of like a side view / front view. Okay, so notice her head. Let me stop it so we can see it better. There. Notice the person's head, right? Tilted forward and to the left. So draw the head first. I'm not going to show you what mine's looking like. So draw the head. Remember, after you draw the head, the first head, count 7 to 8 heads. If you want her to be 7 heads tall, that's fine. If you want her to be 8, that's fine too. I'm going to do 8. All right. So remember, put a line where the bottom of the 8th head would be, like we did for the other ones. All right. Now, which way is her spine curving? To the right or to the left? To the right or to the left? To the right. Okay, so she's curving to the right this way. Okay. So draw from her head, curve her spine. Not a lot, just a bit. Okay. Again, I'm not showing you my drawing until I'm done explaining it, and you guys are doing it too as I'm explaining it. Okay, so it's curving to the right. Hips. Is one higher than the other? Is the left one higher or the right one higher? And it's a little hard to tell because of the coat that she's wearing, but Donovan, you're absolutely right, or correct. It is the right one because she has all of her weight on this one, and this one's extended and it's more relaxed, right? And she's leaning towards the right. So that means that hip is higher. So draw that hip a little higher. Which shoulder is higher? Her left or her right? Which shoulder is higher? Her left or her right? It is a little hard to tell. I think, Melanie, you are correct. It is the left one. And an easy way to tell, yes, we can't see both shoulders, but another way, if this hand is higher up, that means that that shoulder will most likely be higher than the other one too. So if you look at me right now, my hands are practically the same as hers. This shoulder is higher because the hand is higher. Okay? So the left shoulder is slightly higher. Okay. Remember, her shoulders are a little wider than her hips. All right, so now add the arms. Notice where her elbows are at compared to her head. So this elbow is higher, almost above her head. And draw that arm. And then do the right arm. That right arm, notice the elbow is almost lined up with the head for the right arm. And then the right hand on this side is over her body. So that means that forearm needs to come back. Okay. And this one's a little tricky with the hands, by the way. Mine looks a little off. I'll show you in a bit. Okay, next one. Once you've done the arm, hold on, I'll wait. Okay. All right, so if you're done with the arms, go ahead and move to the legs. The right leg over here goes in, right? And then bends to the right. So this is a good pose because it's obviously not a pose that you would typically see. And I'm assuming they're trying to go for like the zombie look. Her ankle is obviously off the ground. You can draw the shoe if you want. I'm gonna draw it like it's off the ground on my drawing. And the toe is the only thing that's touching the ground. Okay? And now the other leg almost shoots straight out. Almost. And again, that ankle is a little higher. And the toe is the only thing touching the ground. Notice that the knees are almost lined up. The one on the right is actually a little lower. So make sure that your drawing also has that. And then go ahead and add the pelvic cavity and upper cavity. So her upper cavity, we're looking at her, we can see her stomach, we can see her chest, so it's not a side view. Okay. All right, did you guys finish? So hopefully yours looks something like this. Right? So you have, and I'm gonna draw the head. Kind of, that's fine, Melanie. That's fine. Again, this is why we're doing it, to practice. And so she's looking down, and so all I'm gonna do, that vertical line would be this part of her face, and then the crossing line for her nose would be there. And so this is her looking down. Right? Again, I'm not looking for perfection or Picasso's in here. I'm looking for you guys to try it. So this is the zombie lady. Okay? And the other thing is, I want you to feel more comfortable. The more we do these, the more comfortable you should be getting with the heads, the limbs, and the cavities, right? Because after this, we're going to start adding muscles to our people, all right? Okay, next one. How do you guys feel about this one? Does this look too hard for people? I'm gonna go with, looks a little, her body's super twisted, so I'm gonna skip that one. This one, no, that one's too easy because we've done too many people looking straight. Too easy as well, looking straight. This is different, this is new. Her arms are more towards the center. Let's try this one. All right, so same thing. You're gonna do it on your own while I do it off the screen and explain what steps I'm doing. All right, so start with drawing her head, right? Draw the head, normal size head, like the ones we've been drawing. And then measure out 8 of those heads with your pencil. Put a mark at the bottom of the 8th head, right? Again, you should have measured out your first head that you drew. And hopefully you guys aren't drawing the heads as big as the one we did last class, right? You should be drawing them about a quarter this size. So your heads for these models that we're drawing should be about this big. That way you have space to make multiples on this paper. Okay. All right. Now, is one shoulder higher than, or sorry, let's start, I skipped the spine. So the spine, is it curving? Is it straight? What do you guys think? You think it's straight, Matthew? Kind of looks straight, right? Is there both, Melanie? Straight, curve? Well, is there one shoulder higher than the other? If I were to put my pencil right on my screen, the right one looks maybe a little bit, but it's hard to tell. Let's go with it. Her shoulders, well, if you look at her elbow, this elbow's a little higher, right, than this one. So that would mean that this shoulder is probably lower. It's just by a bit though, okay? So I'm gonna draw the shoulders first. The left one is just slightly higher, just a little bit though. It's almost not even noticeable. Okay. The spine is going to curve a little to the left, just a little bit though, almost looking straight. So spine, I'm going to show you, curves this way, just a little bit. Okay. The shoulder on the left is higher. And then, which hip or which leg do you guys think she has her weight on? The left one or the right one? Or is it the same? What do you guys think? Left, right, or the same height? What's that sound? So same. What was that? I don't know. Sorry guys, there's some weird noises in the classroom. So I would say, I would agree with you, Isaac. I think it's the same, just because it's hard to tell. Her hands are blocking her hips. And it looks like she has her weight on both if you look at the feet. Okay? All right, so straight across. Now let's add the arms and the legs. Okay? So the leg on the left sticks out to the left. Both of them kind of stick out, right? Maybe the right one sticks out a little bit more than the left one. So just be aware of that. So make sure that her right leg sticks out more. And the knees are almost, they look like they're leveled as well. Her feet are pointed towards us. . So remember how I did that? The one little ankle circle with a wide oval below it. And then her arms. The left elbow is a little higher. So make sure you're drawing that elbow a little higher. And both her hands are at her belly button. Or it looks like it would be her belly button. Now if you go to college, either City College, Community College, or Ford University, they do have figure drawing classes where you draw actual people sitting in front of you, right? I had one in college, and you would sit there, the person would pose for, I don't know, 40, 30 minutes, or we would warm up. They would warm up with quick figure drawings for like 3 minutes. Every 3 minutes, the model would change poses as a warm up. And then once we warmed up and got everything down that we wanted, then they would do a long pose, which was like 30 to 40 minutes, sometimes even an hour. And you would focus on a particular part of the body, or you do the whole full body, depending on what the teacher kind of wanted. All right, so then go ahead and do the pelvic cavity and the upper cavity. Upper cavity is pretty straightforward. She's looking at us. And remember to add the direction of her head, which way it's pointing. Right, so she's looking at us. So vertical line down, and then a slight little curve to show that she's looking at us. And so it should look like this, right? What do we call her? Knight? That's what I'm going to put. Oh, I didn't add her hands. So top, her left one goes over her right one, or the left one in the picture goes over the right one. All right. How are you guys feeling? You guys feeling more comfortable with these? Yay? Nay? So? Okay.